There is a postmodernist cope, which is saying that beauty, especially sexual attraction, is subjective. And while it is true, there is some subjectivity to it, this is only an argument so that the critic can get its foot in the door and then have character models that look like this. And I guarantee to you that this is not done by accident. This is not, them trying to create a wholesome character. I actually happen to speak with developers that work in the AAA industry, and they have confirmed that this is done by design. Oftentimes, you can see it for yourself that the actress which plays the motion capture for these characters is beautiful, and then the character that's in the video game is further masculinized by removing all femininity aspects from it. So the character is going to have very small breasts, broad shoulders, jawline that I wish I had when I was in high school, shortened hair, the mental illness haircut. I mean, it's so bad that people have photoshopped some of these characters without makeup and hair, and they look masculine. To top it off, their behavior is also very masculine. They suffer from what the left would consider toxic masculinity. These characters are quick to anger, very aggressive. They usually solve their problems through violence. And, it's no issue if you have like one or two female characters that behave like that. But you notice that there is a massive trend. And the feminine character that's wholesome, that is nice to be around, that you would want to have as a friend, simply doesn't exist in the Western media anymore. At least it's very difficult to find one. I personally can't name any characters that came out recently which is, let's say, has the same behavior like a Disney princess did back in the old day. In fact, Disney themselves say that they don't want their princesses to be like that anymore. They want their princesses to be the girl boss. And the problem with the girl boss is that she's not the girl team player. Meaning that when you have such a character on screen, she overshadows everyone else. And this is not how good storytelling is done. Like previously, good storytelling was that every single character was part of a team and they were bringing their own experiences. Like, for example, Luke had the Jedi ability, C-3PO had the knowledge, and he understood the universe. Han Solo knew how to pilot a ship. Like, everyone basically contributed to the story. But if you look at the modern interpretation, it's like one character fits all. Like, she can fly ships, she can use the Force, she can do pretty much everything, and she's good in a fight, right? So, like, she overshadows everything else, and this is why it creates bad storytelling. But the reason that I wanted to talk about it is, like, how do you get to this point? And the answer is by saying that, well, beauty is entirely subjective, like, we can't know what is beautiful, and because of that, literally anything that is on a Hollywood screen is worthy of admiration and praise. So if that's the case, like, how do I know that this is beautiful? How do I know that this is something that if you have in a movie, sure, maybe some guys may not like it, because I've been told in the comment section that they don't like this, so I assume that if these individuals were at the bar and this lady approached them, they would go like, yeah, like a horse that's high on ivermectin. Sure, I mean, it's on the internet. I can't see their faces. Like, maybe they're a famous football player or rock stars, and, they got a lot of options. But even with those people aside, like, you have this in a movie, or if you have this in a video game, it's an easy victory. Like, no one is going to say, oh my god, this character looks unappealing. Why are you putting this? Right? So, there's 2 points. Like, first of all, thing that is cute is usually purchased more than thing that is not cute. I mean, that's simple marketing, right? Because all these writers are on strike now, wondering why their studios aren't making money. Like, you can have a movie or a video game that sells on sex appeal alone. I know this is astonishing, but it has worked for the last thousands of years. Sex sells. It is true. It was true then, and it's true now. This concept with, like, traditional standard of beauty is brain damage. There is no traditional standard of beauty. The same standards of beauty that applied 1,000 years ago probably apply today. The same standards of beauty which applied when your grandmother is in diapers probably apply today, with small differences, sure, like fashion changes, but it changes grassroots. It doesn't change because some person in the academia decides it wants to be changed, or some Hollywood movie producer decides that fashion should change. It doesn't work like that. Like it's very easy to predict what is fashionable and what isn't. So there is such a thing that you ask a person on the street, hey, what type of beauty do you like? Oh, I like the traditional standard of beauty. Or, oh, I like the new standard, the progressive standard. That doesn't exist. And what's also interesting is the fact that they believe they can enforce beauty on people. You know, like they will rightfully say it's like, well, being gay is not a choice. Like, you're born this way. Okay. But for some reason, they believe that you can use conversion therapy on a straight person to train them to stop liking this and instead liking something like this. Like, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature. You cannot train someone to change their preferences, right? Like, sexual preference goes a lot deeper than just, like, being attracted into the opposite sex or the same sex or whatever. Like, you have preferences based on how the other person should look. Like, if a woman likes tall men, you can't teach her to start liking small people. It doesn't work like that. And, of course, you know, like, when you talk about sexuality, the whole point is for two people to get together. Your body is part of that. Like, when you're having sex, you offer your body. So it is important. At the end of the day, you know, it's like when someone does another type of contract that has nothing to do with sexuality, but for example wants to rent a house, rent an apartment, right? Like, the way the apartment looks is very important for the contract, because the apartment is the object of the contract. Now, when we talk about dating, right, it's about two people getting together. Well, their personality, their body, everything that has to do with them is important for the consent. So it's very bizarre to just say, well, you know, you can train people to like something else by putting it on magazines and putting it in movies and putting it everywhere, because this is literally what they're advocating for. This is the ideology. It's like that if you put the different version of beauty on art, on everything, that people are just going to have this switch into their brain and all of a sudden like the new style of beauty. It's kind of like saying that if you make all the video games take place at night, people will forget that there's a sun outside. It doesn't work that way. So, you know, it's a fundamental broken ideology which creates uninteresting, unappealing video game and movie characters which ruin the overwhelming experience in the movie. Sure, you can have... it's not essential for a movie to have beautiful characters, I do agree, but it does help. Like, if you're going to make a movie with ugly characters, okay, well, the sex appeal is gone, so you better make sure that the story is a 10 out of 10. You better make sure that the dialogue is 10 out of 10, because there's nothing else to lean on. Like, there have been movies with complete bizarre story, bad dialogue, and yet they sell simply because it had a pretty woman on it, right? So all these writers that are striking and they're complaining that they're not making money, well, you did it to yourself. Not necessarily you, but the studios as well. You know, it's difficult to separate one aspect of the problem from another, because looking at these artists' Twitter and the writers and all of the actors, they're very left-leaning and they are part of this type of bizarre ideology. And in order to fight it, you just have to say no, okay? Beauty may have like some subjective standards, but overwhelmingly it's easy to predict what people will like and won't like. So let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll see you guys there. Take care.